going to turn it over to Holly and Shannon for proper form and safety.
All right, hello everybody. It's Holly and Shannon with Team EXOS. So as all of you know, I'm sure it is safety month. So today we're just going to briefly touch on a few topics on safety while exercising. While working out, we want to ensure that you are all taking the proper precautions to keep yourself from getting hurt, which leads to our first topic. So this is a very important one, avoiding injuries during exercise. So I'm just going to touch on a few tips and pointers here. So use the correct safety equipment for the activity. For example, if you're doing any heavy lifting, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the weightlifting belts at the gym, or if you have some yourself. But if you are doing any powerlifting or deadlift, a weightlifting belt can be a reminder to keep your spine in the correct position and help you to keep your core engaged during your workout. So if you're doing like a deadlift, again, it kind of just reminds you to keep your core engaged, helps take a little bit of stress off your lower back and stabilizes the spine during the heavy lift. Again, it is not always necessary to wear, but it is something to help protect you and keep you safe. Another good example would be the stop clip on a treadmill. I'm sure you've seen that, the little red thing as soon as you hop on. This is an emergency shutdown button. So if at any point you need to pause your workout or take a break, you can hit that button. The treadmill will slowly decrease its speed and then officially come to a stop. So these simple, small pieces of equipment or safety pieces on the equipment can really go a long way to prevent injuries from happening. So kind of just be aware and make use of them when you can. Again, pay attention to other people, objects, and the weather. Simple and common sense, but still good to go over. We will actually touch on exercising in the heat shortly, now that summer is officially here. I believe Sunday was the first day, I think June 20th. Also, play or exercise at your skill level and know your limits. So this is a big one. I can actually talk for myself here. I am a super competitive person. So if I do work out with my friends, even my dad, I push myself to my limits, which can be good, but it is super important to know when to stop at a safe point. So heart rate is a great way to measure this and monitor your efforts during your workout. We will discuss this in a little bit. So again, never push too hard to that point where you kind of feel lightheadedness or tingling in the fingers. Before you get to that point, heart rate will give you a good kind of base to know where to stop at. Warming up before exercise and cooling down after is huge. It's often skipped. I often skipped it, but it is very, very important. Now I'm regretting it. So warming up and cooling down may offer help in reducing your risk of injury and improving your athletic performance. I actually find if I warm up before my workout, I'm like have more energy going into it. So it kind of gives you a jump start before your workout as well. So before you jump on the elliptical or head on a run, consider doing a brief warm up first and think about following your workout with a quick little cool down. Even 5 minutes is better than nothing. Proper form is huge. So especially during exercise, it is important for two reasons. It really does raise your performance level and also reduces your risk of injury and pain. Even when you're doing simple chores, you should be aware of your posture and movement. Like moving furniture or heavy boxes, for a prime example. If you're moving, make sure you're always bending at your hips and your knees. That'll just take any stress off your lower back. And also use your legs when you're standing up. That's huge. I know that you hear that probably a lot, but it is very important. So simple daily tasks just like that, you really do want to focus on your form as well. So now we're going to move on to safety tips while the weather is starting to warm up. I know recently it's been very humid. So this is good to touch on. So hot weather risks. We all know heavy sweating while exercising in hot weather can lead to dehydration or excessive loss of water from the body. So drinking fluids before, during, and after physical activity can prevent that dehydration. So rehydrate with fluids, that's very important. Holly and I talked about this in one Let's Talk Wellness presentation. I believe it was the fueling your workout one. It's important to drink 20 to 40 ounces of water or any type of fluid for every pound lost during a workout or a training. During the workout, I always say it's good to gauge yourself with about 4 to 6 gulps of water every 15 minutes. So this will help prevent dehydration throughout it. And then a few other risks with working out in the heat. So overexertion, overworking the body is usually a result of prolonged exposure to the heat or physical exertion in high temperatures, which this can lead to heat exhaustion. Some examples of this or signs of it would be heavy sweating, cold, pale, and the clammy skin. You can almost feel sick with some nausea or vomiting or muscle cramps. So that would be a sign to make sure you're really hydrating. Body loses its ability to cool itself through perspiration. Now, all of these are worst case scenario, but this time of year, the summer is kicking off and the weather is warming up. Just keep it in the back of your mind. It can be prevented. Even small things such as wearing proper clothing. I know Dennis touched on that last week. Proper clothing, lighter clothing, especially when you're going on a run. Really just know your body. You know it best, so kind of know when to stop in the heat. And Holly will also touch a little bit on this from the fueling your workout.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. So the other thing that I just wanted to say too was besides the hydrating is just make sure that you always have something to eat within probably like an hour to a half hour before you start working out. You don't want to have a hypoglycemic episode, especially with a high intensity workout. So water and food. But I did want to talk about heart rate a little bit, and I wanted to touch on that because that's a good way of measuring your intensity. In fact, it's a great way. That's one of my favorite things. I have a polar heart rate monitor, which I highly recommend. So this one is going to be with the chest strap, and it's just a constant reading. You have a transmitter that you wear around your chest, and then you have your watch that you wear, and it's a constant reading. So you can constantly know where you stand in your workout. Your target heart rate is going to let you hit the bullseye so that you know exactly where you want to be. And we're going to touch also a little bit on what zone you want to be in at different times of your workouts. Your resting heart rate is the number of times that your heart beats per minute when you're at rest. And a good time to check that out is going to be in the morning after you've had a good night's sleep, but before you get out of bed. Resting heart rate is going to vary by age. Jen, would you mind going back to that other slide, please? Thank you. So this is just a little chart here that can tell you where you should fall with your resting heart rate and what zone you want to be in. So you could just find your age. I'm 42. So if you just track across, you're looking at a maximum of about 180 on that. And the zone that we recommend really, Shannon and I as trainers, I would say would be between 70 and 85%. So this is also going to give you that 50% too. Not that 50% is bad. It's just that you would have to work out longer then. So if you're talking about walking or something, it's going to be pretty low, but then you're going to want to hit like an hour of that. Remember that your heart rate, your resting heart rate, can be affected by factors like stress, anxiety, hormones, maybe medications that you're on, and how physically active you are. So just for an example, Shannon is running marathons. Her heart rate, although she tells me that her resting heart rate is not very low, hers is probably in the high 40s, maybe low 50s. The average adult is going to be 60 to 100. But these are other factors that play into it when measuring your heart rate too. So you can always just take that into account too. As far as resting heart rate goes, lower is better. It usually means that your heart muscle is in better condition and it doesn't have to work as hard to maintain a steady beat. A higher resting heart rate is going to be linked with lower physical fitness and higher blood pressure and body weight. So we do want to work on getting that heart rate down. Okay. Jen, if you wouldn't mind just flipping, yeah, thank you. So this is going to give us some zones here that we can work in. And you can see the maximum zone here is 90 to 100. Now, I never peek into that zone. Shannon peeks into it every now and again. And again, that's like the difference between what I would consider an athlete to somebody that's normally just working out. Hard, you're going to take it down to between 80 to 90. I think most people are probably going to be between 70 to 80. And like I say, I can't I cannot recommend it more. If you don't have a heart rate monitor already, try to get one. It changes your workout entirely. Having said that, if you still don't want to buy one, you can measure your heart rate on your wrist. You can just find the spot right below your thumb, place your two fingers there, and then you can just count it for 30 seconds and multiply it by 2. So you can also get your heart rate that way. Another thing to consider is that some drugs and medications are going to affect your heart rate. So you might want to get it into those zones. Like for instance, a common blood pressure medication is going to be a beta blocker, and that's going to try to keep your heart rate down. You'll be able to get it up, but it's going to be really, really, really tough and probably not recommended for you. So you always want to take into consideration your medical considerations as well. So a lot of people want to know what if my heart rate is too high? What if it's too low? So I know there's a lot of people that are working out in the gym where sometimes I see them and it looks like they're about to pass out and they're running on the treadmill doing high intensity. So generally, if you're getting into that maximum heart rate, like if you're actually, all right, so if I was seeing my 180, which I never see, I have to tell you that. If you're seeing your maximum, you want to back it up. And on the opposite side of the coin, if you're like constantly at, you know, like 120 or something, or maybe 115, maybe you want to dial it up a bit. I know when I first got my heart rate monitor, kind of a funny story. I thought I was going out and really doing some pretty intense running. And when I looked at my watch when I first got it, my heart rate was consistently at like 132. So you might think you're working out really hard right now, and you might take a look at that heart rate monitor and realize like, whoa, I got to turn it up a little. So that's another reason to get a heart rate monitor or some kind of device that's going to measure your heart rate. So now I'm going to pass it over to Shannon. We're going to look at some common exercises and just go over some proper form with everybody.
All right. Yep. So thanks, Jen. I'm actually going to get to the squat, but first, we're going to actually talk about walking because we're going to get into some interval stuff as well. But we are going to go over several common exercises and the proper form of them. So done right, these exercises give you results that you can see and feel. You can do them at the gym or at home, like several of us are doing virtually at the moment. So good technique is a must. But to start, a lot of people underestimate walking. You can walk anywhere, anytime, which is awesome. So you can use a treadmill, hit the streets, or even go for a hike on the walking path. Or you could even simply park further away from the grocery store. Again, take the steps when you can, really get your steps in. You can really increase the intensity in a walk several ways, and that's what makes it such a good workout. If you're just starting to walk for fitness, for instance, begin with about 10 minutes at a time, then add a few minutes to each walk until you can get to at least that 30-minute mark, which we always hit on. So we stretch for about 30 minutes per walk. Then you can start to quicken your pace or add the hills, which is where we like to throw in that interval training. So interval training boosts your fitness levels and burns the calories to help you lose weight if you're looking to lose weight, or just torch the calories, like I said. So the basic idea is to vary the intensity within your workout. Instead of going at a steady pace, you can really throw in some different intervals into your cardio workout. So like a power walk, you can power walk for 2 minutes, then back off for a minute or two, and then repeat. So I find intervals actually make the workout go faster, especially if I'm running. Instead of focusing on just going on my run and saying, oh, I'm only at a mile, I focus on the actual time. So I'm like, oh, I have 30 seconds so I can back off my pace. So it kind of just takes your mind off the entire workout. So whether you're walking, running, dancing, or doing any type of exercise, push up the pace for a minute or two, and then just try and back off for a minute or two. So you can start with that. And again, how long your interval should last really depends on the length of your workout and how much recovery time you will need. So if you do, say, sprint for like 2 minutes or pick up the power walk for 2 minutes and you need longer recovery time, that's fine. Just take it to that recovery time, let your heart rate come down, and then pick it back up when you can. So now, Jen, you can turn onto the squat page for the PowerPoint. So we'll dive right into the squat. This is a great exercise. Is it there? Yep, there it is. Thank you. Okay, so one of my favorite exercises actually. First, let's touch on proper form. So it helps you work out more efficiently, so you can use your energy for the extra push rather than wasted movement and time. Improper form may mean you are targeting unintended muscle groups. You don't want to do that. You want to focus on the muscle groups you're targeting. Then it also helps your form for better results. You can run faster, lift more, whatever you're trying to aim for. So correct form avoids injuries, helps you get the most out of every exercise, and helps you reach your goals faster. So I'm going to touch on the squat to start. So you can see on the PowerPoint, I'm actually going to demonstrate as well. So the squat works several muscle groups, your quads, hamstrings, and your glutes at the same time. So it's a super common and effective exercise. So as you can see, I'm going to stand up as well. This lady on the slide also, she has her feet about shoulder width apart. So that's the main thing you want to start with. Shoulder width apart, your back's going to stay nice and straight, which she's doing a great job of, and your head's going to stay tall. I always say chest is tall. So you're going to sit back. I'll go from the side. Your hips are straight back, all right? You're sitting into it, and I always say push your butt back. That helps. And our main thing, Holly and I always say if you come to our classes, don't let your knees come before your toes, all right? So you can see if I'm shifting forward, you want to push your hips back, all right? A great thing you could do, if my bench was a little bit lower, you can find a lower chair too, and you can actually kind of sit back, and that helps, and then straighten up. And then when you get better at it, you can take away the chair if that helps you with the form. So that's the main thing. You never want to lean forward too far. All right, so again, mastering it, then once you master it, you can throw some dumbbells in there, and we'll talk about plyometrics at the end, which is great to take it to the next level too. All right, Holly, I'll let you take it over for the lunges.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think the most common thing that I see with the squat is people just bending forward too much at the waist too, right? Like kind of like you said. So just make sure that you're like lengthening through the top of your head and keeping your chest up. But okay, so another good one is the lunge, and people love the lunge because it works everything. We've tried to pick the top exercises here and ones that most commonly have errors. So I'm going to get up to here and do a little demo. I'm not sure that you can see me totally. But what you want to do for a lunge is take a big step forward. And again, the key thing is always making sure that your knees aren't going over your toes. So they can kind of track over the midline of your foot, but you just don't want them to go over your toes. You don't want to be bending forward. Always think of a string at the top of your head, and then you're dropping that back knee down. So I know a lot of people have knee problems. So one thing we'll commonly tell them is just not to drop that back knee down as far. Another cool little fun fact is the bigger the step you take, the more you're going to get the gluteus, the buttocks, and the smaller the step you take. But now again, without bringing that knee over your toe, you're going to get more quad. So either way, you're going to get all the muscles of the leg, but it can be a little focused on one or the other. So sometimes I like to just vary it up a little bit. Next, I'm going to just touch on the side lunge a little bit. Love the side lunge too. If you're not doing it, I think you should add it. I don't think we have a slide for this one, Jen. But so you're going to have both feet face forward. We're going to take it out to the side. Chest stays tall. This is also going to get the glutes. People love to get the glutes. I love to get the glutes. Chest stays up. And again, just watching that, watching your knees over your toes. So that's an awesome one too. Now, if you wouldn't mind flipping to the next slide, please. Yep. Everybody loves this one, right? The push-up. So we love this one, obviously, because it's going to get your whole entire upper body, also your core. Let me see. Can you see me at all, or am I kind of wasting my time here? Can you guys see me?
No, you're good.
Doing it. I'm going for it. Okay. So when you take it down, you want to make sure that your hands are in line with your chest. So something we always see too is everybody, for some reason, drives their hands up. Super bad for your shoulder. You just don't want to do it. Take a second, make sure your hands are in line with your chest. There's a ton of modifications for push-ups, but going from your knees is totally fine. ideally, you want to lower your chest a fist level to the ground. So that's going to be a correct push-up. But over time, people have so many injuries and whatnot, shoulder injuries, elbow injuries. You can shorten the range of motion. We won't be mad at you, you know, and you can still get a good workout doing that. But ideally, you want fist level. Okay. Good. Yep, Shannon, and I'll pass it over to you now for the crunches.
All right, so crunches, I'm gonna touch on the crunches and actually one variation that I actually love myself. So I'll quick explain a little bit and then I'll show you guys. So I always start by laying flat on my back and then feet are flat on the floor for the first one. You put your hands kind of where it's comfortable for you. I always put them right behind my ears. And then the main thing is you want to keep your back on the ground. You don't want to lift it or arch that lower back. Contract your abdominal abs. So let me show you, make sure, yep, you can see me. Okay, so first one, guys, I always keep my feet nice and flat. And all we're doing, main thing is you want to come up and get your shoulders up off the floor or the mat, whatever you're working with. I'm on the carpet. And then lower it back down. You also want to keep it under control. All right, so pause at the top. And then you're extending the whole way back. All right, so some people will stop here and go up. You want to make sure you're coming full range of motion back, so the full extension. All right, and then a good one to add is if you bend your knees to 90 degrees, you're kind of engaging the bottom part of that core as well. And then you're coming straight up and then the same idea up top. All right, so coming the whole way back, pulling in and lowering back down. So those are a good variation. While I'm down here, I'm going to show you guys the plank as well. So the plank, a few things. You don't want to arch your back on this. You don't want to let your hips come down or pike too high. All right, if that's the case, you may be tired and you can kind of lower your time that you're holding for. So you want to be nice and straight here. And then you want to keep your shoulder aligned with your elbow. All right, so I'll show you bad quick. If you're way too far out, you want to keep your elbows directly under your shoulders here. All right, nice and straight then. And then you don't want to round your shoulders. Keep everything nice and flat, just like the plank name. All right, you want to try and be nice and straight like a plank of wood. All right, so you would hold here, squeeze your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings. It is a great full body exercise, mainly targeting that core though. All right, so let's see what else we got. Thanks, Jen, for flipping to the plank side. Good, so common mistakes for that, like I said, lowering your hips, letting them sink. You don't want to get your butt too high or rounding the upper back. Another thing we always say is keep your neck aligned with that spine. All right, so just kind of relax. You don't want to be looking up or strain your neck. And then it sounds kind of crazy, but
Shannon, a funny meme I saw was if you want to slow down time, start doing a plank. And it's true.
Yes, I agree.
A minute seems like
forever. It does. And then it sounds crazy, but often some people hold their breath during planks and push-ups, to be honest. So make sure you just keep breathing. And lastly, I'm going to end with some shoulders. So I'll actually demonstrate the shoulder press, just body weight. So with this, it's you're going to engage your core the entire time during this as well. And then you want to start shoulder level. So really the weights aren't really coming past the shoulders. You're coming up and then together. Yep, thank you, Jen. So about 90 degrees here, pressing up and then coming straight down. Again, common mistake too, if people go too fast. You want to keep it under control so the muscles are doing all of that work. And you don't want to kind of like arch back, your back coming back here. That means the weight's too heavy. All right, so you want to keep it nice and straight here and then just keep it going at a controlled pace. So you can increase your weight as you go, your repetitions. Also, if I know it's hard working from home if you don't have access to a lot of weight. If you have lower weight, you can alternate arms as well. I'm sorry, higher weight to kind of give your arm a little break as you go. So let's turn it into plyometrics with Holly now to end it.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Jen. So plyometrics is another one that we always talk about. Awesome kind of exercise. So most commonly it's jumping exercises. having said that, there's a lot of safety considerations. And you want to make sure that you're ready to do plyometrics. If you have like any joint problems next to that muscle that you're going to work, you might want to ixnay it. But some things that you want to be careful of are, you want to be careful of what you're landing on. So you can do box jumps, things like that. We actually recently got in the fitness center, it's like a padded box. Shannon, I don't know if you remember that we got that, because we got it and we kind of left. But what a great thing that they added, because I'll tell you what, if you miss a box jump and you're landing on that hard piece of metal, now you've got a problem. So you want to be careful, always aim to jump much higher than you think you can. Another consideration is your fitness level. So you might want to consider lighter plyo exercises. So maybe instead of jumping lunges, you might want to do speed skaters, right? Which is going to be your side to side, nice and light, nice and light. But they really add something to your routine. For people that want to be faster, this is what's going to get you there. And for people that just want to add something to their routine, it's great. It's great. Now, you have to have proper form. So if you're not sure that you're doing them correctly, I wouldn't do them until you have either talked to a trainer or an instructor to make sure that you're doing them, because it only takes, you know, a couple wrong jumps and now you've injured yourself. These are considered high intensity, so you always want to make sure that you have eaten healthy, that you're hydrated. You know, you don't want to give yourself the perfect storm to create an injury. Another thing is that you want to increase your intensity slowly. So you don't want to just go and do like 50 plyometrics in one shot if you've never done them before. You're adding that much force when you're jumping. So just remember, you're adding that to your joints as well. You just want to take every safety precaution you can when doing them, but they are great. They're great. And I think that is going to wrap up our safety discussion here. Does anybody have any questions for us? Heart rate, any other exercises that you were curious about? We just picked those because we thought those were the most common ones.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I don't know what they're called, but you know, like when you work out the backs of your arms.
Okay, yep, maybe
Triceps.
lying extensions, yeah.
Yeah, but you have like the weight behind your head. Because I look at some trainers like that, right? Yep. Should you go like all the way down to like your neck and like past your head, or should you just stay behind your head? Like I watched some videos because that's the part, like the bat wings, I'm trying to get mine off. And so I try to do that one.
Yeah,
I start to wonder if I'm doing it right, you know?
You know what I always tell people? So for one, you probably know this, you want to keep your elbows in. I don't know what has become of me, but I have an injury almost at like every joint in my body, right? But it's okay, I'm still working out, you got to keep moving, right? Anyways, I do have tendonitis of the elbow. So if that's your case and you have an injury at the nearby joint, you can go ahead and shorten that range of motion. So it's going to be, you know, it's going to be specific to each person. So for me, I'll take it to a right angle and back up, and that's it. If you feel like you can come down all the way and it's not going to hurt you, the more range of motion is generally more effective for the muscle, but worse for the joint nearby, if that answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you're going to benefit, honestly, you're going to benefit from both of them. Even if you do have a shortened range of motion, you're going to benefit from that too.